Well, good morning everybody. It is the second day of our trip here. I took a whole bunch of video yesterday after we got to our campground. Unfortunately, upon review, I found out that the audio was terrible. There was something wrong. The microphone wasn't plugged in properly or something. There was a really loud buzzing noise in the background the whole time, making it just unwatchable. So that's unfortunate, but at least I caught the problem before going to Mackinac Island, which is what we're going to do today. But anyway, this is our campground. We are at the Mackinaw Mill Creek Campground here in Mackinaw City, which is on the mainland in the southern peninsula. So we're at the very tip of the southern peninsula, you know, up here somewhere. Everybody from Michigan holds their hands up to show you where they are. But this is our campsite. We got the Princess and the African Queen, of course. And over here is Lake Huron. Not too shabby, huh? So we got a couple of islands. You can see there's a real big one right here called Bois Blanc, I believe is how it's pronounced, some kind of a French name. Then there's a smaller island right here called Round Island. And then over here, I don't know how well you can see it, is Mackinac Island with all the buildings on it. I can see the Grand Hotel. I don't know whether you can or not. But that is where we are going. And around the corner here is Mackinaw Bridge, which we will see later. You can actually see it if you go to the other side of the campground, but I'm going to show it to you when we're on the ferry to the island. So anyway, we're all just going to pile in the African Queen and head over there. And then when we get back, I don't know how late it'll be, but if there's still some light out, I'll show you the campground. But Mackinac Island first. Okay, so I just parked here. My folks actually already got on the shuttle and are heading over to where the boat goes. I had to run back because I forgot to turn the fridge on. So Queen is going to stay there for the day, and I'm going to walk over to where the boat is. We're taking the Starline Hydro Ferry, which is a huge hydrojet boat that gets you over to the island in about 20 minutes. Now, the trip to the island used to take a lot longer. It used to take something like 2 hours because, well, it's kind of a long story. Let's just say that, so it was a 2-hour trip there, 2-hour trip back, and I think around the 1950s, the park municipal people, whoever's in charge of the park, decided that they wanted more tourism in the park, more day tourism, because it was such a long trip out there and such a long trip back. People weren't coming just for the day and then leaving. So what they did was they positioned about 100 barges all around the island and moored them to the island. And then they took a huge chain and they cut under the island, right? And they used inflatable bags to raise it up, and they floated the whole island closer to the shore. So now it's only 20 minutes to get there. And if you believed that, I got a big bridge in Mackinac in New York to sell you. Yes, that was complete BS. Nobody moved the island. They simply built faster boats. Okay, so here we are on Mackinac Island. Now, in case you're not familiar with Mackinac Island, you should be interested to know that in the late 1800s, horseless carriages, also known as cars, were banned from the island because they scared the horses. So now, to this day, the only modes of transportation on the island are bicycles and horses. Which is very quaint and very nice and very quiet. Of course, you have the unfortunate, obvious byproduct of horses, and it's everywhere. It's in the streets, and you can smell it everywhere you go. So it just goes to show you that no matter where you are in the world, cars or horses, you're always going to have skid marks. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a horse carriage tour of Mackinac Island. Okay, so we've got a 1:15 appointment for a carriage tour, and it's only about, what, 12:30 now, so we got some time to kill. And we're just kind of walking. We don't really have a destination at this point. As you can see, the streets are very quaint, very old-fashioned. You really feel like you've stepped back in time here on Mackinac Island. And as crowded as it is right now, this is off-season. Imagine what it's like in the dead of summer. But we purposely came here at the end of the season because it's cooler and there are fewer people. And every street has a big fudge shop. Mackinac Island fudge is kind of world famous. You have to get fudge when you're on Mackinac Island. All right, folks, what I told you earlier, just to show you I wasn't lying, there it is. Horse exhaust. Everywhere you go. There she is, folks. The Mackinaw Bridge, also known as the Mighty Mac. When she was built in the 1950s, she was the longest suspension bridge in the world. And to this day, I think it's third or fourth. Still pretty big. But Mackinaw Bridge is the only physical connection between the northern and southern peninsulas of Michigan, also known as the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. Someday we will cross the Mackinaw Bridge and go into the Upper Peninsula, but not today.
Market Park. In the center of the park, Father Marquette statue. Father Marquette was a French missionary who came to the island during the later 1600s. From Mackinac Island, Father Marquette set out to explore Mississippi River, and that statue is the most expensive statue on the island. And behind, Fort Mackinaw, built by British during the Revolutionary War in 1780 and 81. The museum is dedicated to Dr. William Beaumont. Dr. Beaumont was a physician at Fort Mackinaw, and he became famous for his discoveries into the human digestive process. The hospital in Royal Oak is named after Dr. Beaumont, and 3 more hospitals in this country named after Dr. William Beaumont. Okay. The post office is open all year to serve almost 500 residents, but the mail must pick up because there is no delivery of mail. This street is Market Street. 200 years ago was the main street of the island and the center of full trading activities. A very good place for doing business. And to the left, that area where is now the main street was underwater just 200 years ago.
Wow.
department and fire department. While the motor vehicles are not allowed, there are emergency and maintenance vehicles, including firefighting equipment, 2 trucks, and an ambulance. The fire department is volunteer, and there are 6 to 8 police officers on duty during the year.
What a wonderful beauty.
Benjamin Blacksmith to the right. Now it's closed, but there are live demonstrations of metalwork. And of course, Beetle House is one of the oldest residents on the island, dating to 1780. And here to the left, in this riding stable, you can ride horses here. And now look to the right, see the giraffe right there? See? Giraffe. And after this is my favorite garden on the island. Look at these flowers, gorgeous flowers. Beautiful, beautiful.
Cornflowers.
Medical center.
Butterflies.
Doctor resides here year-round. On the island, you will find 1 doctor and 3 vets for the horses.
No kidding.
So in conclusion, they are more important than us, right? It's good to be a horse on Mackinac Island. And if you'll get sick, maybe a vet will see you. I don't know. Better than nothing. Here we are. The Windsor, the first one, and the second one, the Twilight. These 2 buildings are used to house almost 600 Grand Hotel employees. The Grand is the largest employer on the island. Left or right?
Gotta be on the left there. That one.
To the left, yes. There's the oldest lilac tree with over 170 years. See, doesn't look like a lilac tree. Other events, and there are more types of lilacs than anywhere in this country. 72 types of lilacs. Imagine in mid-June when in 1904 the glass windows were bought from New York, and this is a very popular spot for weddings during the summer. Over 40 weddings each season, over 40. And after top on the hill, you can see my house.
Oh, good.
In my dream. There is the Governor Summer Residence, Governor of Michigan. Has 25 rooms, 11 bedrooms, and 9.5 bathrooms. Yeah, 9.5. Built by a Chicago lawyer in 1902. It had white door with a black anvil. There is our shoe shop, where our horses get new shoes every 5 weeks. Like my girlfriend. Actually, more often.
Okay, so we're taking our sort of half-tour break. They got a little place here set up with shops and stuff. It's kind of nice. And then when we're done here, we just go out back and hop on another carriage and finish the tour. But, see, they got shops and they got some carriages on display and stuff. Nice place. Fudge shop, of course. Fudge, everywhere you go. Everywhere you go on Mackinac Island, there's fudge. Oh. Sumo found popcorn.
Show you the real Mack Island this time. Mack Island State Park. Congratulations, everyone. You finally made it to the good part. Oh, yeah. Anyways, this is St. Anne's Catholic Cemetery, folks. Now, it actually has a lot to do with the downtown tour that you just saw. You know, the one you said you liked so much? Let's see how well you remember it. Who remembers the big green Twilight in Windsor building? Can I get a show of hands? Oh, yeah. We got 4 whole people back there that remembered it. Folks, I thought you said you liked it. Now you slept through the whole tour. Oh, well, that's all right. I suppose. We're on vacation after all, and it was a really long time ago anyways. What was it, like 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 donuts to go back up at Torrey Hill? Lots has happened since now and then. Don't worry, I got you. Lucky you, I did that part of the tour too. And I'd be more than happy to repeat that little portion about the Twilight Windsor building for you. Get a call to me though, I gotta go through pretty quick, okay? So, you know, do pay attention this time. I can't spend this tour doing the one you heard once already, okay? So, listen closely. Whoa, whoa. Gotta do this quick, okay? Pay attention. Two left inside the carriage are two large green buildings, the Twilight Windsor buildings. These two large green buildings were originally Victorian hotels. They were purchased by Hotel and they're now used as employee housing. That's all I have. Yeah, there it is. It's all coming back to us. Thank you. That took a lot of practice. I appreciate that. You appreciate that. Okay, good. Now that's all sparkling fresh in our memories. Anybody care to tell me what your tour guide told you was there before the building? Start out. What was it? The cemetery. That's right. And this, folks, this is that cemetery. St. Anne's Catholic Cemetery. They moved it once tourism became popular on the island. It didn't exactly take them forever to realize that the downtown real estate was getting pretty valuable. And let's face it, folks, it's not an obviously named place. This majestic view here, this is known as the Rifle Range. That's Fort Mackinac down there, folks. Now, back when soldiers were still garrisoned at the fort, they would use this big old alleyway here for their target practice. They start off on one of them hills near the fort and shoot into the mountainside over to our left at their targets. But when they were finished with their target practice, they then march up the side of that mountain with their picks and their shovels and extract every single last spent bullet out of the earth that they could find. They then march them all the way back down to Fort Mackinaw, melt those bullets down, and make new ones out of them. This is a very common practice back then. Bullets are made of lead. It's also where they say the term "to get the lead out" comes from. It is. They get the lead out of the mountain before they...
Okay, stopped for another break, and I came up here. Northwood Watchtower. This is a cool view. Look at this view. Absolutely beautiful. Water is crystal clear down there. Look at that. Fantastic. Yeah, that is almost straight down. Look at that. Wow. These rocks are really something. Oh, man. You gotta watch your step here. You can break an ankle real easily. Okay, so we just got off the final second part of the carriage tour. I didn't record anything after that last stop because there's really nothing to see. We were pretty much just going through the state park and nothing but trees. So we just hopped off the carriage and we're gonna take a 5-minute walk over here to the Grand Hotel because a little further down the road from there is a restaurant where we are going to have lunch, and we are all hungry. So we're gonna eat, and it is, I tell you, folks, it is a perfect day to be on Mackinac Island. Sunny, and what would you say, about 68 degrees or so?
I'd say so.
Really cool, perfect temperature. We're all having a good day. So we're gonna go eat some food. Sumo's having a good day, aren't you, Sumo?
He is,
Aren't you, Sumo?
He had a big drink out of the...
Well, since we had Sumo with us, it took some doing to find a place where we could eat. But we eventually found a little takeout place and got a burger and stuff. And now we're in this park here. There's Fort Mackinac up there on the hill, which has been around since Revolutionary War. Changed hands between British and American a couple times. It was a British fort originally, then became an American fort, and then around the War of 1812 it switched back to British, and then later became American again. But they got this beautiful park here, right by the marina. Absolutely beautiful place. And Sumo is enjoying himself, aren't you, Sumo? Aren't you, Sumo? Come on, Sumo! Come on, Sumo! Yeah, Sumo's having a great day. We cannot walk for more than, say, 2 minutes without somebody stopping us, wanting to pet him, going crazy about how cute he is, and asking us what he is, because they can't tell that he's a Pomeranian. So we've told his story about 100 times today. It's so funny. Come on, Sumo! Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go? Oh, you're just having so much fun, aren't you? Well, everybody, that was the interesting parts of Mackinac Island. Obviously, there's a lot more to see that we didn't see today. But I wanted to just give you an idea of what Mackinac Island is all about. Pretty much just a matter of stepping back in time and seeing old buildings and quaint little shops and getting horse rides and that kind of thing. They do have public tours of the fort. It's like $13 a person to get in, something like that. We didn't bother today. But there is another fort in Mackinaw City that apparently is very good. So anyway, we're just gonna chill here. It's about 5:15, I think. And in about 30 minutes, we're gonna head on over back to the ferry and head back to the mainland. See y'all back at the campground. Okay, good morning everybody. It was just too late when we got back last night. We were just too tired, so I didn't do any more filming. But today's Sunday. Checkout time for the campground is at 11, so we got to go ahead and gonna do a little walk around the campground real quick before we leave. Gonna show you a few things. It's a very nice campground. I do recommend it. Once again, it's the Mackinaw Mill Creek campground. So we're gonna show you a couple of little things here before we take off. So around the corner from our campsites is another great view of the mighty Mack. And I did get a little more information about it. It was the largest, or should I say the longest suspension bridge when she was built in 1957, and now is number 10 in the world, but still number 2 in the Western Hemisphere. So that's a cool little fact. The Mackinac Bridge is kind of a Michigan symbol. A lot of things you see that are about Michigan will have the Mackinac Bridge on it. So that is going to be the big deal for next year, I think. But anyway, the campground has a really nice sort of little park set up here between the sites and the water. And they've even got a little viewing area over here so you can get a close-up view of the bridge. You can see there's a log cottage over there. They got several cabins for rent. There's a little gazebo thing over here. Let's go check that out. Yeah, they got this little carving here of a couple of bears going after the honey. And then, yeah, over here, looks like a map of the park here. All right, so we are about right here right now. Okay, so the bridge would be over here. Our campsites are right there. So unfortunately we're around this little corner, so we can't see the bridge. I thought we would be able to see the bridge from our campsites when I reserved, but apparently not. But they've got all kinds of different sites. They got tent sites, RV sites, see, no large RVs, that kind of thing. They do have a store right there with a pool, playground, everything. It's sort of like a little mini grocery store. They do have Wi-Fi. I haven't tried it. This is sort of the layout. They say this is where the Wi-Fi signal is the strongest in these areas. I have no idea how good it is. My experience with campground Wi-Fi has not been good, so don't expect very much. But anyway, that is the campground. Yep. So I'm going to close out this video here. I hope you all enjoyed the island. I certainly did. It's not exactly the most exciting place in the world, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be just sort of a nice little quaint historic place to visit and walk around and look at little historic sites and eat some food and some fudge and some ice cream and look at some horses and go home. So that's what we did. So we're going to go home now, and next week we're taking a 6-day trip to Gettysburg. My parents are kind of Civil War history buffs, so it'll be interesting to listen to their descriptions of what happened there. So anyway, that's all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to go to facebook.com/RamblingMichigander and follow along with us. And we'll see you next time. Won't we, Sumo? Yes, we will.